everyone, I'm Fernanda, or you can also call me Chimmy. It is now December, so you know what that means. The second Five Nights at Freddy's movie. There won't be any spoilers in this video though, since at the time of me writing this script, I actually haven't seen it yet. Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror game franchise created by Scott Cawthon that came out in 2014, which is when I first discovered it. That's right, I've been a fan for 11 years now, which is crazy. I was one of those kids who would watch videos supposedly proving that the game was actually real. But moving on. The first Five Nights at Freddy's game released in August of 2014 to much success, which prompted multiple games to come right after it. The FNAF lore is known to be, well, quite confusing, but I won't be going over that in this video. Instead, we'll only be focusing on the first game. A brief summary of that is that you, the player, play as a security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, who has to keep track of the animatronics there. However, the animatronics are actually possessed by murdered children who confuse you for their killer and try to attack you. And so the player's goal is to survive from midnight to 6 AM for 5 nights. Going back on topic though, since the movie's release was coming closer and closer, it made me start watching some FNAF lore videos, to prepare myself. Which then gave me the urge to draw some Five Nights at Freddy's. I was originally thinking of redesigning the animatronics, but to be honest, I don't think I did that good of a job since I've never drawn animatronics before. But I do love drawing characters, and so I thought it'd be fun to draw the original 4 animatronics as humans. Which is what I did, so I hope you enjoy. Of course, we're starting off with the main man himself, Freddy. But although he's the first one I'm showing, he's actually the last one I designed. I don't know, it's most likely because he's always been my least favorite out of the 4 main animatronics. I don't hate or dislike him at all, but he's just never interested in me. And so I actually ended up starting off with Chica since I'm more comfortable drawing girls, and because she was the one I was looking most forward to designing. But while drawing her, I got the idea to base my designs off an old retro diner. At first I was going to modernize them, but I just feel like the old-timey vibe fits them better. I was originally going to design them as their own standalone characters, but decided it'd be nice to have them still be connected to each other in some way, which then got the gears turning. All of the 4 main animatronics I'm humanizing would all work at a diner together. Freddy would be the main singer, Chica a waitress and occasional backup singer at times, Bonnie would work as a waiter but just like Chica join on stage playing his guitar, and finally Foxy would have his own attraction on stage at specific times where he'd play as a pirate. Honestly, you could consider this an AU since I'm still trying to stay true to the original game but wanted to put my own twist in it so that it could make sense in this universe. Like I mentioned earlier, Freddy would be the main singer in this diner. I'm pretty sure the first game is set in the 1990s, but I personally wanted to lean more into the retro vibe and gave him closer to the 1980s. I also kept most of his iconic features like his freckles, bow tie, blue eyes, and of course his hat. He'd be a nice and gentle guy, but knew when to get serious when the time asked for it. I was debating on whether to keep the animal ears though, cause I thought they'd look so cute on them, but ended up sticking to my fully human designs. But maybe there are times when the workers will put on animal ears to make it more entertaining for the children. I think that'd be a really cute and fun idea. Also, you can probably tell by now, but I'm not drawing full body designs for these guys. I'm gonna be honest, it's literally just because I didn't feel like it. But I'm actually really happy with this cause I'm really proud of how all these drawings came out. Next is Chica. Like I mentioned earlier, she was the one who made me want to go for the retro diner idea, and so I just looked for old diner outfits and based her outfit on those. She would be the main waitress at the diner but also serve as a backup singer for the band. I know this might be a weird comparison, but do you guys know how maid cafes have the workers serve as both servers and entertainers? Like having them do performances, play games, and take pictures with the guests but still take orders and give out food? That's how I imagine this restaurant would run. With characters like Freddy, but mainly Chica and Bonnie doing both of these jobs. And although you can't see it in this drawing since it isn't full body, I imagine that Chica would wear orange leg warmers to refer back to her animatronic chicken feet. She'd be super kind and energetic, having a similar personality to Pinkie Pie. I was having a lot of fun designing her, but oh my gosh, I was struggling on deciding what I wanted her dress color to be. I started off with pink since I thought it looked nice, but ended up switching to a more orange color to refer back to her being a chicken as an animatronic. And even now, I don't know which of the two I like the best, but regardless, I'm happy with how she turned out. And of course I have to tie in her signature cupcake and let's eat bib in some way. I was originally going to keep it as a bib, but thought that having it on her apron would be better and not as out of place. She turned out so cute, oh my gosh, I love her. Next we have Bonnie. Like Chica, his role in this restaurant is as a server, but also as the guitarist in the band. I imagine my Bonnie to be more moody and not the best socially, originally applying for this job just to make some extra cash. He started off mainly as a server until Chica overheard him playing the guitar one night and immediately insisted to him and Freddy that he should join the band. He tried denying it at first, but after much persuasion from both Freddy and Chica to just give it a shot, he gave in and found himself really enjoying it, which in turn led to him staying longer than he originally thought. This was better for him since, like I mentioned earlier, he wasn't the best at socializing. He didn't have the same energetic enthusiasm as Chica did, and didn't have Freddy's charismatic personality. He instead came across as very unamused and as if he didn't want to be there, which was partially true. And so performing as the band's guitarist worked better for him since he didn't have to act like anything. Instead, he let his guitar do the talking. For my Bonnie design, I gave him a low ponytail and just like Chica, based this outfit on diner uniforms. I was going to make it orange just like Chica so that they'd look like matching uniforms, but it just didn't feel right, so I just kept it purple. Maybe their diner is more lenient on them, who knows. Also, I know that animatronic Bonnie doesn't have eyebrows, but it just looked so weird to me, I had to give him some. I did give him a slit on his eyebrow though to set my makeup for it. Something I did keep though is his red bow tie since it was still on theme and matches his eyes. Which is why I also made the buttons on his vest red as well. And I know there's a debate on what color Bonnie is, if he's purple, blue, or a mix of both, but I've personally always seen him as purple and so that's what I went with. Sorry if that bothers some people, but it's just what I'm used to seeing him as. Also, I didn't draw his guitar in this. I know it's a pretty important part of his character, but I just didn't feel like drawing it. And either way, I probably would have ended up drawing it strapped to his back, so you wouldn't even be able to see it anyways. And last but not least, we have Foxy. I was really excited to do Foxy since his design was a pretty easy one to figure out. A pirate, of course. Just like in the game, he'd have his own attraction where he'd play the role of a pirate to entertain the guests. Since Pirate's Cove is out of order in the game, I thought that maybe in this hypothetical AU that his attraction would be something on the brink of cancellation due to his aggressive attitude. That aggression would be towards out-of-line parents though, which in turn would scare the children. I imagine that he'd actually have a really soft spot for children, and although he tries his best to control himself, he can't help but interfere in matters that are getting out of hand. Whether it's parents who are fighting or seeing older kids picking on the younger ones, he'd always be the first to step in, even if it means breaking out of character. I really like this idea and think that it makes sense in this semi-modern setting. I loved designing him and think that along with Chica, his design might be one of my favorites. I of course kept his eye patch and hook hand and was planning on giving him a pirate hat to really sell the pirate look. But one, I can't draw hats. And two, I think it'd be better to stick with his animatronic look. One more thing I'd like to add is that since in this AU they're not possessed by the 4 children, that instead the actual characters themselves would be those kids, but as adults, you know? So Freddy would be called Gabriel, Chica's Susie, Bonnie's Jeremy, and Foxy's Fritz. This just feels more modern to me. Rather than having them keep their animatronic names, instead those names would serve as stage names. I think this is a nice way of incorporating the lore into this AU even more. But anyways, here's Foxy. Why is he kinda... I'm kidding. And that's all the 4 main animatronics designed as humans. But the video's not over, so don't click off yet. This part of the video is kind of like an extra piece of lore to add onto this AU since, like I said, the gears started turning in my head, which made me start thinking more and more of this AU. Since Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror game, I wanted some way to mix that into my version, and was able to come up with something I'm pretty happy with. However, it doesn't really stay true to the original lore, which I hope is okay. So in this version of Five Nights at Freddy's, the diner these characters work at is run by Henry Emily. It started off as a regular diner until he came up with the idea to add some entertainment to it, which is when he first hired Gabriel as the main singer. And as time went on, the band grew larger and increased in popularity among its guests, which got the attention of Michael Afton, who considered Henry to be a huge business rival. His jealousy grew so much that one night he hid in the diner after closing hours to go through his plan on setting the diner on fire. He knew setting fire to the place wouldn't be enough though, since knowing Henry, he'd just replace it. Something he couldn't replace though was the talent behind the diner. Michael made sure that Gabriel, Susie, Jeremy, and Fritz were all in there during the fire in order to completely eliminate the competition. Now this would ruin Henry, which in turn would give Michael the chance to create an even better diner. He set his plan into action and ended up succeeding. All 4 workers deceased in the fire, which gave Michael the chance to create an even more advanced diner with new talents he believed would surpass the old ones. And so that's the lore I created. Does it include every aspect of the game like the Bite of 83, Charlotte, and Golden Freddy? No, but I mean, if you guys have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. And yes, the new talents I'm referring to are the toy animatronics, which I might design one day too since I'm getting really into this AU. Also, yes, I know that technically FNAF 2 takes place before the first game, but this just makes more sense for this AU, okay? Just let me have this. Or like I said, if you guys have any suggestions on how to work around this, I'd be more than happy to hear it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and my take on these characters. I had a lot of fun revisiting this franchise after some time and found myself really enjoying creating these small reimaginings, which I hope you guys find interesting too. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I hope you have a great day.